Hi guys, today we're going to do a very simple medium-sized plate using a slab technique. It's probably a technique you've used before on the slump molds in the studio, but I'm also going to show you how you can do some of these slumping things at home. So the first thing we're going to do is roll out a slab, and if you're lucky enough to be in the studio, you can use the slab roller, and those are super fun. But because I don't have a slab roller, we're just going to roll a slab out with my wonderful cedar rolling pin. Okay, I'm just going to push this aside because I've been pulling my fingers down it, and so it's very uneven. So I'm just going to put this to the side and put it in a plastic bag for later. So I try to start with a pretty even slab because that'll help you keep even. Another thing, so I'm cutting about that much clay. Another thing that you can do, which I'm going to show you, is you can put these little guys on your rolling pin. Now these are little rubber rings that go around your rolling pin, and they have the words on them. This is 1/4 of an inch, and this is what they use to roll out pastry. And so I got these at Reconsidered Goods, but you could also order them on Amazon, and so they just fit right over there, and they won't let you go any closer than 1/4 of an inch. So I get a nice even roll. So I'm just going to start to push this gently forward. And because I'm rolling on canvas, you know, you're going to have to turn it because it wants to stick to the canvas. But using the canvas is better than having to use a wood board because it starts to stick to the board too. So this is a little bit better. And I'm just going to roll. And, oops. See, it's starting to stick. So I'm just going to turn that over like that. Okay. And roll. Now be careful when you put your rolling pin down, because see, I just gathered, see how wet this is? It's sticky. So I just gathered some clay from over here and I put it right there on my piece. It's okay because this is gonna, I'll put that on the bottom and I'll be able to sponge it out later, but you know, just pay attention to small details like that. I'm gonna pull this off, and then I'm getting pretty close. There we go. Okay, and I think it's about 1/4 of an inch. It's not really wanting to roll anymore. Okay, so now it's about 1/4 of an inch thanks to my nice little pink little rubber roller things. I don't know what they're called, but I do know that they're meant for pastry. Okay, if you don't have access to that, you can actually take 2 strips of wood that are even, and you can put those on either side and roll on that, and it's going to do the same thing as these little pastry rubber roll things do. So you can just go out and find some slats in your shed that are the same evenness. Now these are 1/8 of an inch, and I don't want to go that small, so I'm not going to use these right now. Okay, so we've got our slab, and it's nice and even, and it's nice and flimsy. Okay, so if you want to let it stiffen up, you can. This is a good time to decorate if you just wanted to decorate your plate with a rolling texture. So I have all these that I've made, these 2, and then I've got a stamp of a skull that I made, and I've got a stripe, and then this is a store-bought roller that a friend gave me. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll this slab with this little dotty roller. And so you're just going to start to roll. See how that makes a nice print? I used this roller for octopus tentacles when I was making octopus sculptures. So that was kind of fun. Okay, and then you're just rolling, and you get this nice texture, which I think is really cool. Then you can go back over the areas that didn't get a lot of dots and make those. Just kind of make it how you want it. And then we're gonna take a very simple Chinette paper plate. You don't want the plastic because the paper allows the moisture from the clay to sink into the paper, and it allows a better drying time and a more even drying time. Plastic doesn't want to let your piece dry, and it also will dry faster on the edges and not so much down in the middle where the bulk of the, well, where it gets really moist from being next to the plastic, and up at the rim air can get in. And so you have an uneven drying if you use the plastic, which can cause it to crack. You might have some surface cracks because the clay's trying to dry, and it's pulling itself apart by drying it at a different rate. Okay, so we're gonna take our slab and we're just gonna place it inside the plate like that. And then we're gonna take another plate and we're just gonna put it right on top like that. And we're just gonna press the two plates together. And so thus we're making a plate. And then once you get it in there, really nice and good, then you can take your needle tool and just cut all the way around like that. Okay, and then we'll just push this aside for another time. Okay, and then you're just going to take your plate off, and see there you've got, oops, I had two plates. Sorry about that. There we go. So you're just going to take the plate off, and then you have your nice textured plate. Now it's a little messy, and so, you know, we're going to clean up the edge with a sponge. Like that. And so you have a nice textured plate. And this is something you can do at home. Very simple, okay? So then we're going to put that aside to dry. And so I did another slab that I rolled out earlier and let it stiffen up a little bit. And so you could choose to do it with a slab of clay that's relatively stiff, okay? And that might be a little bit more comfortable for you, just because it's less squishy. And again, if you wanted to texturize this slab before we put it in the plate, we can use this commercial one and just see what it's gonna do. You're just gonna roll, that was pretty interesting, your texture here, and see it's a lot tighter because it's more leather hard. Well, I lost my texture there. There we go. You just kind of play with these things. I just put my finger in there, but that's okay. Okay. So then you would just put this in the plate again and place your plate on top and press down like that. And just run your fingers around the edges, and then we're just gonna and you can get some really interesting textured rollers at the clay stores like Clay King. I mean, they have some beautiful ones. And again, you would just start to clean this rim up a little with your sponge. And so I know this is really basic, but it's just another way to find resources at home to be able to make clay and make something that's functional. I did little plates on the wheel last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was thinking about you hand builders out there and how you might want to make some pretty functional pieces that you can make one after another, and they're relatively the same size and shape. Okay, and so I'm going to set this aside too. So what happens when you just rolled out a slab and put it into your plate form, and then you wanted to kind of decorate it after instead of doing a texture? So what I've done is I've gotten a couple pieces, and this is something else that you have at home. I have all of these little cookie cutters, and this is a little B shape. So you can get a cookie cutter and put that, and I press down just a little bit, okay? And just put that in there. And then we're gonna take our slip, which you can get from the studio, and I'm just gonna dab inside of this little cookie cutter. Okay, like that. And you can put a couple layers of slip. I usually do about 3. So I'm gonna set him aside for a second so I can pull up some other pieces that I did earlier today. So here's one of the B, and I have a little textured rim here. So if you didn't want to texturize your whole plate, you could actually just texturize the rim. Okay, and so, you know, if you decided later that you wanted another B, you know, you could do another B on here. Just push in, and we're just gonna dab that slip in there. You can also use underglaze. You could even glaze. You could put glaze in here and let it dry, which would be really cool on some pieces that I've seen in the studio, just to have a glazed B. But then you just have a cute little plate with 2 B's and a textured rim. And so it's a very simple idea, but it's very functional, and I think you can make some really cool things. Like, I had these square cutters to make boxes with, and I just took my red slip and made that kind of pattern. But I just think, you know, you can find anything in the home to use to make a lot of different clay projects with. So I hope this is a very simple but fun video to think about making some hand-built plates. So good luck, everybody. Have a great week and stay safe. Okay, bye-bye.